I just wanted to see if it would get quiet if I just stood here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here this evening. This is a big deal. Not saying that everything that we do isn't a big deal, but this is a bigger deal. Tonight, we have Steve Parke. And Mayte Garcia. Two very, very amazing and incredible individuals, and they're here to talk about another amazing, incredible individual, and that person's name is Prince. So first of all, I'd like to start off by thanking our private donors who made this happen. And to embarrass him, I'd like to start off by thanking Randy Dalmas, who works for us. And Randy is the person who put this all in motion. So this would not happen tonight if it was not for Randy. So for tonight's big event, Steve Parke, award-winning photographer, and this is the 10th anniversary of Prince's passing, and he created a stunning collection of exclusive photographs for Prince in his new book, Prince Black, White, Color. So we have an exhibit over here, as you can see. Mr. Nelson is welcoming you in, so if you get a chance to be able to view that, that would be wonderful. And Mayte Garcia, an amazing dancer and artist. And I'm not gonna say any more. I'm just gonna bring him up. That was my call.
Hi, everybody. This is kind of cool. I never get to moderate, so I'm like, yes, I'm in charge. Hi, Steve.
You are in charge.
Okay, so I have a little introduction. Tonight feels a little different because we're not just talking about photographs. We're talking about moments that are still alive. I had the honor of knowing Prince in a very personal way, and one that I learned that is no matter how much the world saw, there was always more, always another layer. And the person next to me didn't just capture him, he experienced him through a lens in a way very few people ever could. Steve Parke spent years documenting images, moments, and we're here to talk about it.
Yes, we are.
So first question, How?
It's a good question. That is a good
right?
question. It's a very good question. So, oddly enough, I did not come in initially doing photography. I started in 1988. I worked on a video for the song Glam Slam from the Love Sexy album. So that was my first thing. I painted this top of the stage for that. And of course, I was 25 years old. I was essentially a caffeinated squirrel. So I was running around like a madman all the time. And I would be like, hey, do you guys need t-shirts? Do you need this? Do you need that? And everybody's like, oh, okay, try it out. So, I did some tour shirts for that tour. And then I thought it was all over. He went on the road and I didn't go on the road. And in that lull, I worked on a painting because I needed to show my work to people. And it so happened to turn into the Graffiti Bridge album cover. So that was not even made specifically for that. It's just I'm like, I'm gonna do this illustration to show around to people, and I might as well put Prince in it, right? Why not? And he loved it, and we ended up making that for the album cover and the movie poster. So I started, doing more work. One day, out of nowhere, I got the call, hey, do you want to be the art director out here? I'm like, sure. Do you know how to use a computer? No. Well, I picked up a computer and I learned to use a computer while somebody else did that job for a year. And when they left, I got pulled out there, knowing only so much about using a computer, to be honest. And so I went from there. And so then I was doing CD packaging, all this other stuff, and worked with a great guy, Jeff Katz, who you probably all know. I was using his photography a lot, Randy St. Nicholas. And one day, Prince came up to my office, and he said, do you know anything about digital cameras? And I said, no. And this was 1995 or 96. And he said, Jeff just told me that this is a thing. And I'm like, okay. He goes, have you ever taken photos? I said, yes. And he said, okay, get a camera, we're gonna take some pictures. Did not ask to see anything. He just took my word for it. Fortunately, I didn't lie to him. I actually had done photography in high school and college. And so we got the camera, tested it out with some strobes, if you guys know what strobes are. They're flashes, basically. No idea how to use those, but I tried. And that didn't work for him, so we used a giant 10K movie light for pretty much everything you see inside. And that was it. That was the beginning of it. He just literally asked me if I could, and I said yes.
Amazing. And then, yeah, because you had time, I mean, you were shooting all the time. Yeah. All the time. Were you ever nervous in front of him?
I didn't have time to be nervous. and I don't say that lightly. I was used to his work ethic and the way he did things, and it was pretty much all in the now, like it needs to happen now. And so other than praying that when we put this card into the laptop, that it came out with an image that was not blown out or too dark, I mean, that was all I could do, was just be, please, hopefully my using a film camera is helping me in some way. Because really, he's sitting right behind me the entire time, which is pretty nerve-wracking. But at that point, you're like, well, it either worked or it didn't. Fortunately for me, it always seemed to work. So, you know, surprise for me. As a matter of fact, is this a good time to show this camera really quick?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second. So I brought this because I really want people to get an idea of what this thing looked like, because it's hard to talk about and to see the technology, because you all have phones in your pocket right now. I mean, I'm sorry, you have cameras in your pocket right now. Of course you have. Well, also you have phones in your pocket.
Oh my gosh, I remember it now.
Yeah. This thing, it doesn't have a lens on it, but you get the size of it. Oh my God. This right here, no joke. Okay, so what this is, the top part is a Nikon camera. The bottom part is a digital Kodak back. So it plugs in up here, and this thing was super slow. Like, it can only take so many pictures, like 10 pictures per, I don't know what. It's written over there somewhere, so you can read about it.
Yeah.
It was also, for anybody who knows cameras, it was an ISO 80. That's it. No other options, ISO 80. And so we were not shooting with a flash, which would be appropriate, of course, for an ISO 80. So it has a sensor that had a lot of issues back then, and you had to do things to try to get it right, and it was kind of a mess, to be honest. But I always worked through it. Coming from an illustration background helped me a lot, because I could tweak these things to look, you know, acceptable. And then, let me show you the card, okay? Because you guys know what, like, a card, like a little SIM card or something, fits into anything. This was the card. That was the card. It is not just a card. It actually has a spin-up drive. You can hear it whir when you put it in. How crazy is that, right? It was actually a little hard drive.
So you could, because when it became more advanced, I remember we used to take pictures and we could see it right away.
Yes.
We could see it.
No. You'll notice there is no screen. There is no screen. So, yeah.
Wow. You're taking me back.
So
tell me about a moment that maybe didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but stayed with you.
Big moment, let's see. I think, honestly, visiting Marbella. Because
Visiting what?
Visiting Marbella when I was there.
Marbella.
Yeah, in Spain. Only because I'd never been there before, and I'm literally flying in for, what, 3 days? The first day was me sleeping. And of course, it's like, we got to get shots. And it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful area. And then I got to work with the two of you, and it was just kind of one of those things you're like, I pinch myself, while of course having to move through everything efficiently, quickly, because we only had so much time, so that's, yeah, that one, definitely.
Yeah, photo shoots were very fast with him. It wasn't like, let's sit there and, no, it was, let's shoot.
It was, yeah, and we had to move quickly with a camera that was not particularly quick, so that's the other problem, so.
So we had some questions from you guys we wanted to ask. Do we want to talk about, I want to ask first, what's your favorite picture in this book?
My favorite picture, I know which one it is because I bookmarked it earlier.
Okay, good.
Hold on a second. I'm going to try to pull this up and not get feedback on the mic. By the way, this book is heavy if you hadn't noticed. Oh my God. Trying to get it off the floor was no mean feat. My favorite is, I'll let you show it. It's the one back here. Don't lose yours. We didn't set this up, we swear. It's this one on the left. This shot, one of the reasons I love it so much is because when I was shooting it, I saw this beautiful image with this light behind him, and I was like, I don't know if I can capture this, because I was afraid of the lens flare, just blowing everything out, and I wasn't going to get anything. And so when I saw it, I was a little disappointed, because for some reason I wanted his face to be insanely sharp and get the flare. Well, that's not how it works. So years later, when I saw it again, and when I was working on it, I was like, wow, I really love this shot, but it's because I let it be the shot it was. One thing that photographers or creative people in general do is they do something and they had a thing they were aiming for, and when it doesn't come through, they're kind of mad at themselves, and they're like, I failed, right? But then when you let it be for a little while, you come back to it and you can assess it a lot better, and it definitely had that in general with these photos, because for a long time, I looked at all the guys that photographed, all the huge names that photographed him, with a crew of 20 people. It was me. I was my own crew. So I was always like, oh, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that. But over time, I got to see the value in how we shot together, because it was much more intimate. It was just the two of us, and I feel like he tried a lot of things because of that he would not have tried with like a big name photographer with a crew of 20 people and lights and all that kind of stuff. So what about you?
Okay, my favorite. Well, there's one. I was walking over here, seeing the amazing art that's out there, and there's a picture of. It was funny because he asked to take a picture, and you took a picture of him taking a picture of me.
Yes.
That one's a really cool one. My favorite in this book. I have a lot. That's like somebody asking me what my favorite song. I'm like, you can't ask me that. It's too much. This is hard. Okay. It is.
I made it look easy.
Why? It's his wedding outfit.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, by the way. I was kind of like, oh, wow, that's really cool.
I mean, there's many I could pick, but it's funny because we were having lunch today and I was sifting through it and it popped right here. And I was like, yeah. He's always around saying, show him that one. Tell him about it. So let's get some questions.
Do you want me to scroll through some of this too?
Yes, please scroll through
while
some.
we're going. Let's see.
Have you guys gotten the book?
It's not.
Nice.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I need to back up. There we go. No, I keep moving forward, apparently. Oh, there we go.
Okay, tell me something about this image.
So these two, I like when I see these like this, because I put them in the book. They're in order of when they were shot and sort of grouped together. But I love the one on the right because that was the day he came in with zero makeup on, no base makeup, no nothing. He hadn't shaved. He had not put on eyeliner. You would think he put on eyeliner, but he did not put on eyeliner, which was kind of crazy. And I loved it because he was just like, okay, let's do some pictures. And, oh, okay, cool. And so I love the whole vibe there. And then the other one is completely the opposite. He was going for this kind of, I feel like it was kind of gothy, you know? And then he did the little, little hair thing. Did he ever tell you about those hair things, by the way?
I had that same hairstyle, but my hair was long. I braided it. So he was really into that look. So yes, I danced with that. Very painful when you've got braids. It's not.
So while we were shooting, he said to me, he said, my cousin, when she was a little girl, had hair like this. And so he thought that was kind of fun to try out. So one of the things I loved is he would that was the great thing between the two of us shooting together and not having other people. He'd just try stuff. He'd go out, he'd change, come back, we'd just shoot. And it was very casual. He'd be like, grab your camera and let's go shoot, which was pretty cool, to be honest. So there was one back, though, that, let me see if I can get this thing to go backwards. Nope, other way, one more time. This one. So this, by the way, I put this in here because this, you've seen probably this here, or you've seen it in the book. This is how a lot of these looked when they first, coming straight out of a raw file. They really, color was bad. That was a silvery gray background, that green you're seeing. And it was just that if you were not under the proper lighting, it just came out weird. And the funny thing is when you looked at the black channel, often it was incredibly sharp. So when I was going through this, you know, I tried to look at that black channel. So I did everything I could to bring them forward. And one of my choices, which you'll read in the book about all the interior stuff, was the best way I could present it in this book was in black and white, because it really brought the most out of the photo. And to me, that's what mattered, was presenting him in the best light possible. And kind of having gross color was not my idea of a good presentation. The outside stuff, however, worked well because it had enough light. So that's why I made the choices I did for that.
Nice. Okay, first question. What is the most favorite storytelling of a picture you feel you have captured with Prince, and one that also reflects your creative development of yourself with him?
Let me see that card. That's a lot. That's a lot. Let me just make sure I see all of it. Most favorite story. I got it right.
See, visual people. I'm the same way. I'm like, I can't hear you. I need to see it.
Let's see. My favorite story, actually there were a lot of them, to be honest, but I like the funny ones because he was inherently a very funny human being. And so when something funny happened, even though maybe I would not have said it was funny in front of him, I remembered those. So there's some shots I took of him out behind Paisley, where the pond was. Remember where the pond was? Right. So he was already outdoors, and so I was like, ooh, I have an idea. And he said, okay, what is it? I said, I want to shoot you over near these big red leaves that were growing up around this pond. He's like, okay. So he moved over, and my intention was to get him back in them, not just standing in front of them, but back in them. So I said, ooh, could you move back a little bit? And he'd take a step back, and I say, could you back up just a little bit more? He took another step, and I said, just one more, and he stepped back. Now he was in there really good. It looked like what I wanted, and I heard a squishing sound because he had hit the edge of the pond, and his heel sunk into it. And of course, I acted like nothing had happened and just took the pictures. And everything worked out okay, but I did not look back. I did not check to see if there was mud on his boot. I just left it alone. So that was kind of fun. I think actually a kind of a growth spot for me. So when we shot, a lot of times he came in with what how he was going to dress and all that kind of stuff. And I had little ideas about, maybe once he did his thing, I'd say, oh, could we also try it this way? Could we do that? So, so that's how it kind of started. But a lot of it was he knew what he wanted. I mean, he could pose for days, right? And so I think something that changed in the way I felt about how he looked at me as a visual person was when he asked me during the Mill City Music Festival, that's what it ended up being, shoot. He said to me, we're shooting, and he goes, why do people think I've had a nose job? And I said, do you want an answer to that? Because I can tell you. And he said, yes. Because sometimes he'd ask you a question and really he just wanted to ask the question. He didn't need anything back. And at this time I thought maybe he really wanted to know. So I said, well, when you were younger, and you did your first album covers, you looked straight at the camera every time, straight on. So if you look at him straight on, he's got like a ball area to the nose, right? As soon as he did the, sexy out from under the eyes thing like this, and he dropped his head, you'd start to see the straight edge of his nose. So you saw that straight line. Now, to someone who's not paying attention, that could look like two distinctly different noses.
Yeah.
So I told him that, and if you look at the photo that's associated with the Mill City Music Festival poster, he is looking straight at the camera because I'm sure he's like, look, see? So from that, it was another level of comfort. I mean, I already had what I felt was a decent relationship with him. Like, we talked about a lot of stuff, and I always guessed where I could push because you still are talking to your employer to some extent, but you're also talking to someone who's creative, wants your input, and someone who also was a friend. So you had to decide where things were on the scale that day. And so that particular day, I figured it was an okay thing to actually tell him what he wanted to know.
Nice. Okay, how long did it take to compile the picture that you decided to include in this book?
Okay, so for the record, in the double edition, which don't kill me that they're not available right now because it's not my fault, other than the fact that people bought them all. It's everything I have. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make something that had everything. The upside for me was this. He saw all of these. He approved all of these. These were all ones he said to keep. So I don't have any problem showing them because he saw them. So I wanted this to make the complete collection. People are like, "You're gonna do another book?" I said, "Well, if I do, it's not gonna be any more of these photos." So, yeah, and it took me, I would say I worked pretty hard for about 6 months, honestly, to really get these into the shape they're in. Finding them was difficult because I don't know how many of you use computers, but in the 90s, the files did not necessarily have a .tiff, .jpeg, any of that stuff at the end. So it used to, you click on it, automatically would open in whatever program. That is no longer the case anymore. You have to have that on there. So I spent time going through, sometimes going, I don't know what this file is. It's in a folder where, stuff from them resided, but I had to add an end on to find out, like, oh, it's just a Word document, it's not a photo. But that's how I found some amazing photos, by trying that out. So anyway, it took me about 6 months, had one hard drive crash where I lost a whole lot of work, and I sucked it up and got that recovered. But yeah, it was really a labor of love for me because I really wanted people to be able to see these, and I really wanted them to be represented as well as humanly possible. So I worked really hard to do that. Oh, sure. I forgot I had this. Oh, this one. Hey, you saw that one coming in. Look at that. This was fun because this was one of the early shots I did with him, and he loved it. And as you'll notice, it's a wide-angle lens, which was not a staple of our lenses. I just happened to have it. And then he said, "Ooh, let's put some henna on my hands." I'm like, okay. So I went in Photoshop and I did that. Fortunately, coming from an illustration background, I had a pretty good idea how to do that. And I do think, especially early on, he loved the idea of being able to mess with stuff on the backside, because film was a lot more difficult to do that with. You could airbrush on top of a picture and change it some, but it wasn't as quick as this. By the way, Photoshop did not have more than 3 layers at the time, just so you know. For a while, it had none. Like, once you committed, that was it. It's like, if you wanted to undo it, too bad. So I'm just trying to, make people aware that this was not like 25, 30, 40, 50 layers like you used to get, when we were working with this stuff. So it was very, very new technology across the board.
Yeah, I remember going to get tea because something was processing. We're like, it's going to take a minute.
Oh, yeah.
We'd go down to get tea and wait.
Yeah, it did. It took a long. As soon as he saw that beach ball, he's like, "I'm going down to the studio. Call me when it's ready."
What was the most fun shoot?
Oof. Okay, I know what it is. There's a shoot in the book where he's in a chair that has a seat here, and then it curls around like this. And he said, "Hey, I want to take a picture on this chair." I was like, "All right, cool." He started, and you see it in the photos, he was climbing it like a jungle gym. He was just like all over it, and rolling around on everything. And then at a point, there's a great shot in there that I love. He's leaning over to the side, and I was looking at that going, what was going on? Oh yeah, his earring caught in his hair, and I snapped the picture, but he still liked it. Like, yeah, so he still liked that. And then he took his shoes off, and he's doing it with his shoes off. And it is funny because putting this book together, in my own head, I'm like, I believe I have the most photos of him without his shoes on of any photographer, which is a little strange, specific.
Yeah. Want to do another picture?
Oh, sure. Keep forgetting this, sorry. Oh, this one. You see that one even bigger in the other room if you want to see it. This was fun because, again, because of the low light situation, he one time had me try to shoot pictures of him actually moving around. And it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I was pretty tired. And he said, we put him in and looked at him, and he's like, you need to stand still because I'm blurry. I said, and so again, 5 in the morning, look at the microphone stand. It's completely still. You're the one that's moving. This is too slow. I can't do it. Now, I normally wouldn't put it like that, but it was just that moment. And he said, okay. And that was it. I mean, I don't really get like that, but man, I was just like, I tried to tell him, and, he wanted to try, which was fair. But then this shoot we had done, he literally stopped in each of those poses. Like, he was playing guitar, and then he'd just freeze, and I'd be like, click, and he'd freeze again, click. This is how much muscle memory he had of this stuff, which I think is amazing. I don't know how many people could do that. Just stop in the middle and then keep going and then stop again and make it look like that is, to me, if I didn't know better, I'd just be like, that's him playing and I caught it all, So.
Wow, yeah. That's cool. That's cool to know about that.
Oh, hey,
Oh.
look at you too. You're so cute. So I love this shot. It's not the whole thing, it's the other way, but I get it. You got to do this with it. The funniest thing about this, and I just told you this recently,
What?
the thing about what he was doing behind you while you're getting your hair done.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, I was talking about the fact that he's really
engaged. We were engaged.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like a funny guy, but you didn't see it much back then. Like, I know later on he was, you could see it more. But they were doing this shoot, and someone stepped in to do something with your hair, and he's standing behind you, and he looks at me, and he kind of gives me one of these, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. And he's like, okay, camera. And he's like, and I'm like, okay. So I'm ready, and he turns, and let me see if I can do this without both spilling water and dropping the microphone. He turns sideways and just goes, just like that. And all I could think of is, I went click, and I'm like, that was so funny. But I'm trying not to laugh because it's very serious for you right now. So the funny thing is that photo stuck around for a long time on the hard drive, and again, we didn't have a lot of space. We had to keep dumping stuff. So much stuff got dumped because it was such a small computer as far as storage went. And we had that picture I had sitting on the desktop for a long time. And one time we're going through cleaning stuff out, he goes, what's that? He points to it. And I'm telling you, it's this big, but he could see it. And I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out. And I clicked on it. He goes, we can get rid of that. I'm like, oh. Because it was just so funny. But he kept it for a long time.
Aw.
Yeah. So what else we got? Oh, hey,
Feet.
look, more feet.
The feet shot.
Feet and hands. Look, that deadly combination, feet and hands. So a couple things. Obviously that's on the feet and hand thing. That left picture is one of the ones I found towards the end of finishing this book. And it was like in a folder that had nothing to do with what I thought it would be. One of the things that's funny is some of these folders said, today's shoot. Mm-hmm. And so did another folder, and so did another folder. So I have like 12 versions of each of these images from different things. It's crazy. But that guitar shot, I love it because I love the way we did a whole bunch of shots like that, and I had most of them. But this one and the cover shot actually was also in with this one. I love the way, he was tapping his feet when he was playing. And by the way, he was playing, which was great for me. Like when we did the Truth shoot, which most of it got lost except for the cover. Unfortunately, we also had hard drive crashes, and there was no chance of recovery back then.
Oh.
Well, if there was, it was a lot of money.
Wow.
But he played guitar, and I got to just listen to this while we're shooting, which is amazing. He did a whole blues set for me when we did The Truth, and I'm like, when are you going to do that? And he goes, when I get older. So, which is kind of a good bet. But yeah, so it was really, It was a lot of fun. That was in the hallway. You know where that is, right?
Yeah,
Right
I know
across from
exactly where that is.
Yeah, that one, and then the kitchen, right across from
Yeah,
the
next to
kitchen,
the
that other
kitchen.
one. Yeah. And of course, like I said, one light going from, how am I seeing two lights? Oh, because of overhead lights, yeah. Hey, who's that on the left? I know those people. Yeah. So people were always like, how did you get that shot? And I'm like, shh, it's a secret, but it was a mirror on the ceiling. Because it was. And you could see the line in it, you know. And
We had
Mia
a
at the
mirror.
bottom.
We had a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a mirror on top of the bed.
Yeah. I wasn't kidding. It really was. You told me some stories about the dogs, though, when you were shooting that.
That was Mary. People think it was Mia, but that was Mary. And we kept trying to get them off the bed, but Mary wasn't having it, and she jumped on. I didn't expect her to do that. Yeah. So what else? What else?
She fell asleep, too, right?
She fell asleep.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
she's totally passed out.
She's like, I'm going to bed.
The other funny thing is, you know, you guys are wearing, like, each other's, I think, pajama bottoms.
Yeah, those are my pajamas.
Yeah.
Those are my pajamas.
Which is funny. Like, one's got lacy edges, one's got straight edges.
Yeah. I'm wearing the shirt. He's wearing the pants. Yeah.
So, and I love this other shot. It's one of those ones where I remember shooting it, but I did not remember the intensity of it. And it was during the video shoot for You Make My Sunshine with Angie Stone. And when I got them out and I started going to black and white with these, so there is a color one in the second book, and it's like, but I put it in there because, you know, everybody wants to see stuff. They'll be like, why didn't you put that in here? So, but I love the way they're looking. I love their skin tones. I love everything about that shot. They're just looking right at you, and I really love that. And I love it in the book because it takes up 2 pages, and I think it looks amazing. Oh, look at his skin.
Yeah, the pool.
The pool.
I was like, you want to get in the pool? Okay.
Well, he also
Was
wanted
it your
me.
idea to get in the pool?
He wanted me to get in the pool. I said no because I figured I'm going to get. I had this camera that if it went in the pool, that'd be the end of it. That'd be the end of the shoot, and I would be blamed, even if it was like you know he'd try to splash me, right?
Yeah.
You know he would, yeah. So instead, I hung over the pool with this big honking camera straight out, which was much safer. It's not. But that was just a lot of fun because it was so different. So you know, somewhat, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What beautiful quality of light there was there too.
Yeah.
Do you remember how we did this one, by the way?
My car, the headlights. Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were at a restaurant, and when you guys came out, there's a bunch of paparazzi. And of course, I had no flash. And so I'm trying to I don't know what to do here. So one of the shots I took was when they were shooting all the flashes off, I squeezed off a shot, and he's moving in it, and it's cool because it's like multiple exposures. And then after that, you all sat in front of the car headlights, and that's how I got that shot. So that was the cool thing, was just flying by the seat of our pants, really, a lot of times. Like, let's see if this happens. And I think he was comfortable with that because it was digital,
Yeah.
right? Because if he saw it and didn't like it, boom, it's gone, you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to it goes out to film and all that stuff, and maybe some of it doesn't come back, you know? So, and this one, this
Yeah.
one. Talk about holding your breath for a long time. This was in the club that same night. And again, no flash, no extra light, 80 ISO, 5.6 aperture. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know people who know cameras who said, ooh. And I saw this moment, and I'm just like, and I had no expectation that it would come out. And in fact, it came out because it looked like it was literally painted by light, which is really the best thing you can hope for as a photographer, is that the light has just made this beautiful piece for you, and all you had to do is be there for it and click the shutter, and this is what happened. So I was always blown away that this even made it, you know. And then, of course, we already talked about this one, so I'll pass that. I also love that photo of him staring straight at you. It's so, in the book especially, and the book company did such a great job reproducing this stuff.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah.
And he's just looking right at you and slightly through you, and I looked at it one day, I was like, oh man, I kind of missed that on the screen. You see it like that, it's a whole different thing. And another thing, like I was talking earlier about just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. That shot, he was leaning on his prowler,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was kind of had his hands on it, looking into it, and I was shooting from a distance, and I wasn't getting anything because his face was blowing out. It was fine down here, but it just wasn't working. So I got behind him and shot over top of him, looking into the Prowler, and that's in the finish of the car, which I just thought was so cool because it's still, you know who it is, you know exactly who it is, but it's also like kind of psychedelic.
Yeah.
And, pulled the colors out of everything. So,
Very cool
those
shot.
were the kind of things I could try, and that he really, I think, appreciated me trying.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the squishy ground right there. But
That's
he did
beautiful.
it. He did it.
Beautiful.
He went in there. And here, this basketball one. The thing I love about that, I have had so many people say, "Did you Photoshop that in there?" No, I did not. Do you not know that he played basketball? And the funniest part is he did that take probably 10 times. Not because the ball wasn't spinning on his finger, it's because it wasn't spinning the way he wanted it to spin. So every single time he had it spinning, and then he said, "Nope." And I'm like, I was ready to shoot. He'd do it again. Nope. And I could just see him, like, the focus on his face with it too. and because the shutter was slow, I'll give this camera some props for being slow, because look at the ball, you can see it moving. The basketball shot I did with him dribbling between his legs, he thought I couldn't get it because of the speed. I got it. He actually bet me on that one. He's like, "I bet you can't get this." And he shot it between his legs, but he was standing still looking right at me. So the ball is in motion, but he's not, which was really cool, and also, haha, I did get it. So.
Those are my boots. Just saying. Next picture.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Another question. How long did Prince's photo shoots usually take? And was he picky with, we know that. He was picky with photos.
We all know that. The shoots could take were different amounts of time. Like I said, the one I talked about with him on that big chair, like rolling around it, we shot maybe 7 minutes with that because he just kept moving, and the light was good enough that we caught everything that was there. Other times, I'd shoot during a video shoot, so that could take, whatever time I wanted it to, really, because I could drop in, go take stuff off the card, come back down. So they were all different lengths of time. The longest one I can recall was probably at the Arboretum in a straight shot, because we went there and we stayed there. He didn't have to go into the studio. He didn't have to go to rehearsal. He didn't have to go deal with something in the office. It was just in that moment. And that's one of the reasons that day stands out the most to me too, because we really just got to be there. And it was really amazing. As a matter of fact, I think when we came back, I'm like, oh man.
How did you get the opportunity to first shoot him? I know you're an artist, but what was the first photo shoot? Like the first time you got the camera?
Well, the first photo shoot was the one with his hands wide. So there were a couple of that one. That was the first.
That one,
yeah,
got
that
it.
one. Yeah, that was the first one. And only a couple of those pictures survived, because he also, at the beginning, he cut it down to like 2 or 3. And then one day, we cut it down to 2 or 3, and he comes up the next day to my office and says, "Can we get that one back where I was doing this?" And I'm like, "No, we cannot, because that technology does not exist yet." See, I was foreseeing the future when it could. And after that, he started to be a lot more gregarious with his number of choices, because he recognized that, okay, just because it's not my favorite, I still like it, I'm going to keep it, instead of just, paring it down to 2 or 3 once he figured that out.
Was there ever a shot that you almost missed, but it turned into something iconic? I can tell you, but you tell me.
Oh, you can tell me. Oh, almost missed.
There's many.
Well, I think what I said earlier, the problem for me is, what I was saying earlier was about how you always see the shot you missed. Even if you got some great shots, you're like, but I missed that one. Yeah, so it's hard for me to see it, but you have a different perspective, so I'm going to let you tell me.
It's in the library. It was a tour cover. The album, MPG. Yeah, it's an album cover. It's an album cover of him is he holding the mic?
The mic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, gun mic. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty
That was
iconic.
Big one.
You know what's funny about that mic, by the way? Not in that shot, but the other shot. Remember the other shot for the tour book where he's holding the gun mic?
Yes.
We put a smiley face in the front of the gun mic, just very subtly. If you ever look at that tour book, you're going to see a smiley face. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because once we got it printed, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to see that smiley face. And most people don't, so that's good.
Your camera had a smiley face on it. Your camera had a smiley
No,
face?
no, 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 no. No, he had me Photoshop a smiley face onto the front of the microphone gun.
Really?
Yes.
I want to see.
Yeah, right. Well, that tour book, you can look at it.
I
Yeah.
gotta look.
Yeah.
I gotta look.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Was there ever a moment you captured, either in a photo or memory, that completely changed how you saw Prince as a person?
I probably learned new things about him doing photography with him, but I'd already been working with him since 1988. So I had seen him through a lot of different things, and he had interacted with me. It was interesting. I went out there, and I was a huge fan of his music, and I knew perfectly well that I couldn't be that guy when I got out there, because that would not end well for me. So I did everything I could to just make sure to do what I needed to do and all that stuff. And so a funny thing where I realized I had a trust with him, and I didn't even know it till a little bit later. I had worked on a tour shirt for Lovesexy that had 4 quadrants of his face, and I literally did that in my hotel room, by the way, the entire thing. But I had drawn it out on some illustration board. I needed to take it to him to be approved before I started painting it, just the likeness. I walked into the wardrobe department. I said, hey, I need to show you this, and I turned it around, he looked at it, and he looked at me and he said, it's got a little bit of a Lionel Richie looking chin. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying. Flipped it around, I said, hold on. And I start erasing the chin, and I'm looking right at him, and I'm drawing the chin in from what I'm seeing, right? And I'm sitting there, and after a while, his eyes start to kind of go left and right and looking around like, what's going on? And I turn it around, I say, is that good? And he's like, yes, and that's it, and I walked away. But I thought about it later, and that is not the way things always went there.
No.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, that he accepted it somewhat from me because I was only coming there to get something for his approval that was to his benefit. I wasn't trying to get anything for myself, and I sort of had that relationship with him, generally speaking. I mean, everybody's got a day. But I think that I already had that relationship. That's part of the reason he was comfortable with me with the camera. And that's why I think the way the photos look, because they're with somebody you know, and you don't have to worry about all the stuff surrounding a photo shoot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I remember when he went digital, I was like, wow, we're going digital? Because he was really, really into film, like 35 millimeter and Polaroids. He loved Polaroids. So I remember when we started shooting, it was like, oh, wow, we don't have a Polaroid? Wow, he's got trust with you, So yes. All right. Are there going to be, is there any more deluxe edition books? This is it.
No, there's not right now. The publisher had no idea how this was going to sell because they don't know you guys like I do. And so they, were like, oh my God, we're sold out. And I'm like, yeah. No, I didn't really say it like that. But I wasn't surprised. But they are going to reprint them. They are saying an October 1st release date. It may be earlier than that, but I'm sure they're just counting on worst case scenarios. So come the fall, you can get it again. I know that they are adamantly about doing it. And as a matter of fact, the one edition book is actually coming close to selling out too. And again, they were kind of like, oh my God. So it's a good bad. I mean, as a company, ACC Books is amazing. They're a great arts book. They're an art and photography book company. They do fantastic. You've seen it. This book is amazing. It's beautiful. But also, they are not, a Random House or, any of those with probably the kind of budgets. And so they have to be a little conscientious about, okay, how many are we going to actually print? Because we have to think we're going to be able to sell at least most of them. And, they got taken by surprise. And as a matter of fact, the guy who owns that business said to me, he's British, and he goes, well, we tried to price it fairly, and apparently we succeeded.
That's funny. Okay. Let's look at some more pictures.
Oh, sure. That was all I had, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah, I know.
That's it?
That was it for this, not in here. There's more in here.
Oh, in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we have more questions?
I know, more questions.
We can make stuff up, too.
I know,
It's
let's
not
make
like we
something
can't.
up. I love talking. I did an interview with Steve about a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we were trying to explain being in that world, and he had the best description, and I want you to say it because as soon as you said it, I went, oh, that's it. Please share.
Yeah, so when we were doing the interview, I said, working with Prince was like the astronauts who go to the moon. They come back, everybody asks them about the experience, and you can tell them in detail about everything you did. But the only people that are going to truly understand are other astronauts. And it is true, like when we get together, it doesn't matter, honestly. I mean, I've hung out with people up and down the years, like the people that I was like when I was a teenager going like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. I've hung out with them. I've hung out with people who, worked after I was there. And we all have stories that are relatable to each other, that we can share with each other because of the person we were with, we're with. And it's pretty cool. It's like, it really is truly like an extended family.
Yeah.
Because somebody could start a sentence and you're like, yeah, you don't even need to finish it. So it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Do you have a question to ask me?
Do I have? Oh,
Even though
yeah,
I'm
I do.
moderator.
I do have a question to ask you. From your perspective, what was it like? Okay, yeah, it's a little I don't know, something I want to know for myself. How was the experience? I know you guys shot with a lot of professional photographers. I mean, huge names and stuff too. What was it like shooting with me? And what I mean by that is, I feel like my approach had to be low-key, whether I wanted it to be or not, because it was just me. But what was it like from your perspective doing a shoot with me?
I think because we did so many together, it just felt safe. For him, he would say, we're shooting with Steve. I'm like, oh, good. I think it's just the way you are. I've worked with photographers, and some give feedback. Oh, yes, and I'm like, oh, God. And it's just a politeness and a safeness, but then it's also creative. So you give feedback just enough to where it's just a great language, because it's a language between photographer and I enjoy it. I'm actually shooting with him tomorrow. Very excited. And I'm excited because I know it's going to be magical and all of that.
Well, it's interesting from my perspective, because I think when I was shooting with you and with Prince, I did not have I didn't have any way to shoot, I just did. But what I learned is being in that moment is the best way you can be, and giving people feedback that they are asking for, whether literally asking for or somehow being, not like he was ever unsure, I'm not going to say he was, but just in general, people who are a little unsure, giving them a little bit of like positive feedback, because I have worked with many people where I kind of joked, I said, as a photographer, sometimes you really have to be a therapist for people, And it's weird, like I've had people come in who have modeled before, and for whatever reason, that day they're having a rough day, and the worst thing in their lives is the size of their ears. And I say, did your cousin say that to you or something when you were a kid? And they're like, how did you know? It's like, because it's the cousin or the little brother, that's pretty much it. But it's weird because you don't expect that. And one thing about him was he was super confident. Like, he walked into everything ready to go. But it doesn't mean he wasn't able to let that down in certain circumstances, which I thought was pretty impressive, because I've worked with people who, musicians in particular, who definitely come in at it with, here's who I am, here's how I want to present myself as to being and all that. And they don't stop. Like, there's no stopping. And that's okay. If that's what you're after, that's okay. But I think, again, the reason I got some of the shots I did was because he was able to let that guard down some and not just be the rock star. I mean, it was fun being the rock star. It was like, ooh, that's glittery. That's really cool. Look at that guitar. That's amazing. You know, because it was super cool. But those moments, like I said, he came in with no makeup on. And I'm like, and I didn't have any reaction other than, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, this is going to be fun. But yeah, I never saw him do that except for that day. I mean, I know you probably saw him without makeup on, but you know.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, ooh, okay.
Right.
No makeup.
So yeah, so it is, you're absolutely right that there is something between somebody who's looking after your image and you, who want your image to be good. There's got to be a give and take in that. And to expound on that, actually, people have asked me before, did I give him direction? And it's like, I mean, yeah, not like, oh, this is terrible what you're doing, let's do something else. But I could take where he was going and say, ooh, let's try it from this side. Do you want to do this? You know, just make suggestions. And then he would ask me, like, do you think this looks better? This way looks better? Because he wanted the shot to look good. So he was willing to, cooperate, in the shoot rather than just being, this is how I want to do it and there's no other way to do it. So that was also nice. Yeah. Collaborative is what I was actually looking for, collaborative. But.
Yes. Yeah, first time we shot, I remember I was sitting down. I was like, oh God, I'm shooting with I did one with him, but it was with the band. I'll never forget it. And I was sitting there and we shot. And then we changed location and, everybody was doing the pose. And I was like, oh God, what do I do? I was like, oh God, okay. And I just started posing. And I learned from posing from him because he's like a master at it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. He's a master at posing. And it's just so cool to see all this together.
No, he could walk in and hit the spot immediately, and that's what was cool. The one, actually, let me see, I'm gonna go back here really quick. Yes, that is my Instagram if you don't already have it. Let me go back here for a second. It is interesting too to watch as I'm looking at it, how much more relaxed and unposed things were over time,
Yeah.
and how much more they were, rock and rolly at the beginning. So actually, I meant to talk about this because this was fun for me. The 3 videos I got to shoot, You Make My Sunshine, was kind of just him and Angie as far as the focus, so I got that. But this was When I Lay My Hands on You, and then the other one I shot was Greatest Romance. And what was fun about these was because I thought I'd never get to shoot him live, essentially, because again, 80 ISO. It just was not going to be something I could do with that camera. And he did ask me, I just couldn't do it. So getting to do this, these guys set up a lot of light. So I got to go in there and shoot this stuff. And it's fun, so I have a lot of those shots. As a matter of fact, in the second book, there's a ton of these because I had so many. But it was so exciting for me because I saw him perform so many times when I was younger, and then I got to see him perform so many times, working with him. And it did always kind of make me sad that I couldn't do the live stuff. So this was fantastic. And also kind of getting to see behind the scenes. Another interesting story about this was I had shot all this, and it was like a break, and he came back, he goes, do you know how to use a video camera? I said, he goes, just press this button. I'm like, okay. So he got in that smoke, and he's got the guitar, and he says, just take whatever you think looks cool. And I'm just like right above him, and he's like writhing around in the smoke, playing the guitar solo and all this stuff, and I'm like, look at this, and I'm looking through it. And when I'm looking through it, I'm like, wow, this looks great. Because of him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, not because of me, but he looked amazing. And I was in the kitchen later, probably 3 hours later at 5 in the morning, and he came in and he goes, hey, that video footage you shot, it looked great. And again, the filter did not stop me, and I said, I know. And it was because it was him, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really saying, look at me, I'm a great, film photographer. It's just like, you look great. But in the moment, I'm like, I know, because I saw it, And then I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to ask me to also do video for him. And I was kind of like, I got enough on my plate. I do not need one more thing. And that's the funny part. Like, so many people were like, it's amazing you get to do all this stuff. And absolutely. But you can get to a point where it is hard to juggle all those things because everything, you want it all at the same time. Like literally. Like I'd be jumping from one thing to the other. Most beautiful girl in the world video shoot, burning the candles. I'm down there burning candles, but I'm also supposed to be working upstairs, and I had to get everybody in the building to come burn candles except for Therese. She said no.
Yeah.
You know she would say no.
Yeah.
But no, that's it. Everybody in the building down there burning candles to melt them for the video shoot that was going to be that night. But also, I had stuff to do upstairs. So I had to go back upstairs while people hopefully didn't burn the building down.
Can we just realize that this book, this is like history in the making, because there's no artist now that in 20, 30 years is going to have a book like this, because we have iPhones. And then we'll have moments where people get to tell stories like this because it's either on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. So I'm so proud and happy that you did this, and sharing it with you guys, because we can't, hey, remember here, let me show you. We can't do that except for the cougar. I showed him a video of a cougar that I had to shoot a commercial with. And I just found out it was his idea. The cougar turned on the trainer.
It turned out to be my idea. It wasn't really my idea.
Yeah.
So it was the Get Wild, right?
Yes,
Get
the
Wild
Get Wild.
perfume. So I was up in a corner office. If you all have been out to Paisley, I was up near the conference room. And I was always up there. When I was out there, that's where I always was, it seemed. And people would come and I was like a therapist for people. They'd just come in there and tell me their daily problems. I'd be like, okay, cool, and I hope things are better, and they'd leave. So it's, I don't know, a little before midnight, and I knew they were doing something in the soundstage. I didn't know what. And the producer comes into my office and says, do you know where we can get a camel? And I'm like, a camel?
Camel.
And she's like, camel? I said, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, this is Minneapolis. I don't think they got camels hanging around here. So she's, she left. 5 minutes later, Prince comes in. Do you know where you can get a camel? I'm like, so clearly she went back and said, Steve said that you can't get a camel. And he's like, I'm going to go ask myself. And I said, okay. I said, now, it's almost midnight here in Minnesota. But in LA, they probably have camels. But it's 3 hours earlier there, so it's, what is that, 9, 10, 11, 12, 9 o'clock, right? And he's like, uh-huh. And I said, now, the big problem is how you get it here. But I have an idea. Maybe, I don't know, they can get it on a helicopter, lift it up and fly it here. And he kind of looks at me and goes, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. And he leaves. But I had to have an idea, because that's how I approached him. If he came to me with something that seemed impossible, I would at least give him options. And sometimes it worked. In that case, it did not work. So half an hour later, my phone rings, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just trying to get work done and get all these people interrupting. So Danny Soltis, who ran the building at the time, he says, hey, Steve, come down here. You got to see this. I'm like, all right. Come downstairs to the front desk. And there is a cougar? Is it a cougar?
Cougar.
A cougar sitting on the desk. Now, I have a picture of this, which we found today, of me just being like, oh, look at the cougar, right? I was so tired, it never occurred to me that it could bite my hand off. I mean, I did ask first. I said, is it okay? But looking back, I'm looking, and I'm like, hey, and that cougar's all like this, and I'm like, oh, that's a big animal. I was not in my right mind when I petted it. But then I find out.
Fast forward to shooting this commercial with the cougar, and I'm spraying the little thing and doing the stuff with the cat, and I'm hearing purring, so I'm like, we're good. And then, okay, we're done. We're gonna wrap. And the cougar turns and strikes at the trainer, and the trainer's like, oh, he's turned on me. She likes you. It was a girl. She likes you. And by the way, I can't believe she let you rub her head, because she hates that. And I'm like, okay. She's like, so I'm gonna need you to, I'm gonna throw the collar. Because she had beautiful, my necklace on and diamonds, beautiful. He's like, I'm gonna throw the collar and you're gonna put it around her. And then I'm gonna grab her, but then slide out really fast. Because I was laying down with it. So put it on her. I could have died. This cougar. And I called him. I'm like, do you know what just happened? He goes, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, good. I'm like, it's a cougar.
By the way,
Steve.
I just recognized something that you said that I didn't notice earlier. In that photo, I am petting that cougar on the head. Just saying.
You did.
Nobody warned me, and I was fine.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming and
Yeah, thank you.
being a part of this.
Yep. Thank you. And by the way, just in case you didn't know, the entire time I was working for Prince, I lived right here in Baltimore. So I was 30 years in Baltimore. And he loved hearing stories about Baltimore, because I told him.
Nice.